Okay, hi everybody. We're live doing the notes now. You're going to learn about inheritance. The big idea of inheritance is if you have more than one class with a lot of code in common, there's a principle when you're programming, which is that you don't want to repeat yourself. You don't want a lot of repeated code. And so inheritance is a way of defining a new class to extend the code in an existing class. So the new class gets all the code that's already there, and you only have to add code that's new. That's inheritance. So let's look at a particular example. We've got a dog class and a cat class. You see that dogs and cats have names and ages, but cats have an independence level because cats. You see the constructors. They both have a get name. They both have an increment age, but dogs play and cats lounge. So there's a lot in common between the two classes, but there are also some differences. Okay, so right now with your neighbor, I'm going to pause the video, but right now with your neighbor, go ahead and circle, what did I say? Circle all the things that are the same? Did I say that at all?
No, what's the same, what's different?
Yeah, well, I guess just discuss what exactly is the same and what's different. Okay, welcome back. So I've circled all the things that are different. So we've got the variable, we've got these methods. The name of the constructor is different. The actual lines inside the two constructors are the same, except that the cat constructor needs to set the independence level because only cats have that. Okay, so here's what we want to be able to do. And go ahead and copy this down in yours. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new class called animal. And the animal class is going to be named animal. It'll say public class animal. And it will have everything that's the same between cats and dogs. So it's all the code that's the same for all animals. And what that's going to let us do is we're going to be able to change the dog class and we're going to change the cat class so that they extend animal. And there's going to be a keyword, extends. And what it means to extend is it means that the definition of what it means to be a cat is an extension of the definition of what it means to be an animal. What that means, practically speaking, is that all the code inside animal class, you automatically get that code inside cat. You won't see it in the class that says public class cat, but it'll be there and you can use it. Couple pieces of vocabulary. Well, actually, I guess flip the page over and see what it looks like. Ta-da! Okay, so a couple things to notice. These are the new cat and dog classes. This is the actual entire Java file for dogs and cats. So you can see public class dog. You can see here it says extends animal and extends animal. That's the code that you use to make your class extend another class. It's just you say extends and then whatever the class name is. Okay, so you'll notice that dog doesn't appear to have any variables at all, no attributes. But actually the dog has a name and an age, because all this code up here in animal is getting inherited by dog. So down here inside play, for example, we could still say age plus plus if we wanted to. And just looking at the dog class, you might say there is no age variable, but we're actually referring to the age variable that we inherited from the animal class. Okay, so let's do a couple pieces of vocabulary and answer a question. Okay, so dog and cat are sometimes called child classes. Do you have a guess about what animal is called? The parent class. Okay, because these are very important concepts, there are a lot of different names for these same concepts. So instead of child classes, they're sometimes called subclasses. And then the parent would be called the superclass. So I'd say my subclasses inherit from the superclass. My child classes inherit from the parent class. One last set of vocab items. The child classes, or let's do the parent class. So the parent class is sometimes called the base class. And then the child classes are sometimes called the derived classes. And that has that kind of feeling of they are an extension of the base class. They are derived from the base class. So you'll hear other programmers using all of those vocabulary items. Okay, so question, could you continue to inherit stuff? So a dog is a special kind of animal. What's a special kind of dog?
Dalmatian.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's call it like a fire dog.
What?
I don't mean some kind of fictional dog that breathes fire, although that would also be a special kind of dog. I mean like a fire dog is a dog with additional variables and additional methods. A fire dog has special facts and skills that make it, different than a normal dog. So you could define a class fire dog that extends dog, and dog extends animal. And so fire dog gets variables from both of the parent classes. You could call this the grandparent class, although nobody actually ever does that. But you could think about it that way. Okay, so what exactly does extends animal mean? What extends animal means is that your child class inherits code from the parent. And I think a great way of thinking about it is like your class is an extension of the other class. The definition extends the other class. Okay, what does protected mean? So we talked about public-private, but like this is neither of those. It says protected. Here's what protected is about. Protected is public for child classes, but private for everyone else. So what does that mean? Let's pretend that age had been marked private up here. Remember that private means that the variable is only accessible from that class. So even though dog extends animal, that means that dog would have an age variable. But if the age variable was private up here, dog couldn't access its own age variable. So it would have it, but it wouldn't be accessible, which is actually something you want to do sometimes, and we'll talk about why later. But ordinarily, you would want your child classes to be able to access all of their own variables that they inherit. So protected is like being public for this class and all the child classes, but private for anybody else. Okay, so what is this super n about? The keyword super means run the parent constructor. So you can go ahead and annotate your own page here. So super is going to run the animal constructor. And let's just write that. Super runs the parent constructor, whatever it's called. Okay, so why is there an n in parentheses here? Notice that the animal constructor expects a string as an input. So that means when I run the constructor, I have to give it a string as an input. If the constructor up here took no inputs, then I just write super with opening and closing parentheses and like nothing in between, because it's just like running a constructor. It's like me saying like new animal and then putting whatever inputs the constructor is expecting. So that's what super means. And just to be super clear about this, so to speak, sorry, video. I'm sorry, internet. So let's do step by step what happens when we say dog Fido equals new dog Fido. Okay, so here I am running the dog constructor with the string Fido. So that input, the argument Fido, gets assigned here to the n variable of the dog constructor, because that's like ordinarily how you get values into methods. Okay, so now n here is Fido. Now I'm going to take that Fido, and it's the input to super. So I'm going to run the parent constructor with an input of Fido. And so that Fido gets assigned up here. So now this is Fido. And then n gets assigned to name, which is the actual attribute for name. So when I run the dog constructor, that input gets passed to the dog constructor, then it gets passed to the animal constructor, and then the animal constructor does the assignment. So it's like a two-step process. Okay, what happens now if I say Fido.increment age? So increment age is a method. I'm looking in the dog class. I don't actually see a method called increment age. Video is playing again. So increment age got inherited from animal. So it's still, so dogs have it. It's still totally great to have a dog variable run an increment age method because dogs are examples of animals. Dogs extend animals so you can treat them like animals. They've got all the things that animals have.